Got it. Yep, that's fine. It's going live right now. Just give it a second. And I want to share something with the audience real quick. Just give it a second. Hey, good afternoon, guys. How you doing? It's Kevin here with Ryan again. Hope everyone's having a good day. Today we're gonna do some network training, but before I do that, and wait for everyone to join, just give it a couple of minutes. Give it a few more minutes. People are joining. Before we go over Azure, and before we go over the advanced stuff, just wait for other people to join. Just give it 2 seconds, and I'll give the floor to Ryan afterwards. But I need to share this because Ryan's not gonna say anything. Ryan not gonna say anything, so I have to share it, right? So let me share my screen real quick. Give me a second, and I'm gonna put this over here. Let me share my screen. I'll let Ryan share his screen afterwards. Just give me a second. Screen 3. So first of all, before I even get started in my channel, like I want to say congratulations, Ryan, for being elected for MVP for Microsoft. So if you guys don't know, Ryan was elected MVP for Azure Microsoft, and I just want to before we go over the Azure stuff and the networking aspect of security, I want to know, like, how does this work? Like, what does this mean for everyone that's watching right now?
It's quite a important award. Microsoft MVP is not a certification that you can go and sit and do. You have to be nominated by Microsoft or in a current MVP. And what that award does, it's Microsoft's way of saying, we recognize you as the best of the best. Think of it as, you've all seen the movie Top Gun. Think of going to, they pick a whole lot of people to go to the Top Gun Academy, and out of that, only one person can win the award at the end of the academy. So think of it like that, or think of it as the Oscars, winning an Oscar. Think of it that for IT. What Microsoft do is they track you and they monitor you and they see what you've done for the community. They see what things you've done as well to help companies grow, what real world projects you've worked on and how it's benefited those companies, and how it's how you've introduced Microsoft, how you've shared information, what is your attitude like. And there's over, just to give you an idea, guys, there's over 100 million certified professionals worldwide in IT, 100 million. And there's only 3,000 plus MVPs worldwide. That's a small number. And out of that 100 million people, they probably get tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands applying or to become an MVP. When I mean applying, nominations, they would get thousands and thousands of people being nominated. And being nominated doesn't guarantee that you're going to win the award. The award process is held at Redmond at Microsoft. They have a special board of people that vote to see if you deserve the award. They don't just say, okay, well, we've got all these people, because what they do is they narrow it down to a group of people. And the MVP award, like I say, covers a lot of the Microsoft products. You get developers, you get for Windows, you get so many things. Even with Azure, you can become specialized in the data center or whatever the case is. I'm very fortunate because Microsoft Azure covers Microsoft Azure. It's not like I'm specializing in one particular area. It covers most of the areas in Azure. So it's quite a big deal. So they will take a vote. And if they all agree, then you will be given the award. If they don't, then it's like, well, good luck and try next year. I've heard of guys that have been trying now for 5 years in a row. They've been nominated by existing MVPs and been nominated by probably Microsoft employees, and they still haven't won the award. So there's a lot of things that go into it besides just saying there's an award. And the award is valid for a year. And next year, if I do a good job this year and Microsoft are happy, then I stand a good chance of being nominated again. Or the award could go to somebody else. So it's really Microsoft's way of saying that you have joined a unique group of individuals that are experts, should we say, in their fields. They're the best of the best. And like I say, when you realize the people you're up against, you can also tend to doubt yourself, because some of the people that are competing for the award are very, very skilled. They put out amazing content. They are experts in their field. So it's very hard for Microsoft, I would think, to really narrow it down. It must be so hard for that committee to make that choice. And again, I'm so stoked that I've won the award. And there's only 3 Azure MVPs in New Zealand, including myself. So I'm really excited about that. And once you win the award, then it gives you access to a lot of benefits. When I mean benefits, you don't get any money or anything for it. Benefits in terms of you get to network with other MVPs. You get to actually meet the Microsoft executive team, like one-on-one.
That's pretty cool. Wow.
And you get invited to what they call the MVP Summit in Redmond at Microsoft headquarters. And it's where all the MVPs worldwide get together and share their knowledge and catch up. You also get access to Microsoft products before they get released, so that you can test drive them and comment on them. So the benefits in terms of networking with the right people is really tremendous. Again, there's no money involved. You don't get any financial information rewards for becoming an MVP. And it's definitely a program that is good to be in. And once you're in, you know that you've got to the top of your field. And like I said,
I'm so happy for you, man. Yeah. I'm so happy. Well deserved, man. Well deserved. I'm so happy for you. You have no idea. I'm super excited of how you deserve it, man. Well deserved. Well deserved. Like I don't care. I don't care what anyone says. Well deserved for you, man. You deserve that reward. You're really good at teaching people, so well deserved.
No, thank you. And like I say, the award is also in part thanks to everyone that's partnered with me on LinkedIn. Thanks to everyone that, like yourself and Mike Rafuso and Josh Mason and Dinesh and all the LinkedIn connections, all my YouTube subscribers. You all helped me get to where I'm going. It wasn't like, I did it on my own. No, without your help, it would have been a lot harder for me to get from A to B. So you guys encouraged me, you motivated me, you supported me. So the award, in a sense, yes, I've won the award, but it's our award because, together we've done it as a group, as a community, because at the end of the day, that's what Microsoft MVP Award is about. It's about sharing with the community. It's about a whole lot of other things, but that's one of the most important things. And again, I'm saying thank you to all of you guys because you helped me get where I'm needed to go. And that's awesome. And just another heads up quickly for everybody. It's so important that you connect with the right people and that you have the right attitude and you really keep those connections going, because down the line, those connections will support you in whatever you do. They will encourage you. They will give you advice and really lift you up, because at the end of the day, when you surround yourself with really exceptional people that have the right attitude, and everybody may have different skills and everybody brings something to the table. And it's like your friends. You'll have a great group of friends. And that's what I call LinkedIn and YouTube. We're one big family. We're all there and we have a common goal and we want to share stuff. We want to celebrate each other's success and we want to promote each other. So again, from me to all of you, thank you so much for your support. I'm just really stoked to be part of your network. And for me, it's a privilege and an honor.
Man, Ryan, I'm happy for you, man. I'm gonna stop sharing, but yeah, I just wanted to share that I'm gonna acknowledge it. So I have to acknowledge it.
Thank you.
So, what are we doing today?
Okay, what we want to do today is we want to learn how to create an NSG or a network security group in Azure. We haven't covered that. And again, it's not a big lab, but I think it's an important lab. And as you notice, guys, those that have been with us from the beginning, we started off with some really fundamental stuff. So now we're slowly moving into more advanced topics and fields within Azure. And I hope to try and cover a lot of things with you guys. But security groups is, let's dip our toes into security. As you know, it's quite important. And let's see how easy it is to do this. And let's fire this lab and let's have some fun. So
sounds good.
I'll go ahead and I will share my screen. Can you guys all see my screen?
Yep.
Okay, so the first thing we want to do is you want to open up your Azure portal, guys, like we've just done. And I've got some stuff typed out in Notepad, and I'll explain to you what it is. So the first thing you want to do is let's go and create a resource group. You can find it in here, or you could type in RES over there, and you can get resource groups from there. Either way, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and click Create. And as you know, with Azure, we always want to create a resource group. I'm going to go ahead and paste this name in. That's what I've got typed out in Notepad. I've got a few things typed out in Notepad, so I don't have to write them in. So I'm going to go ahead and paste my resource group in. I'm going to call it NSG Lab. You can call it whatever you want, guys. Click Review and Create. We're going to go ahead and we're going to create that resource group. Once that resource group has been created, the next thing we want to do is we want to create a network security group. And you could type in here network. And as you can see, we've got network security groups. So let's go and select network security groups. So again, we can create it from here, or we can create it from here. Either way, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and say, let's create a network security group. And we're going to go and create that security group. We've just created that resource group. So click the box there and select the NSG Lab. Now it's asking us to give our security group a name. I mean, if you wanted to, I could go ahead and I'll just call mine for the sake of keeping things simple so we don't get confused. I'm going to call it Auckland NSG Lab. You can call it whatever you want. You can keep it at the same name. It's up to you what you want. Again, we've got tags. You can go ahead and tag that if you wanted to. I could go ahead and paste that, and I could, you know, call that demo. I mean, if I can take my caps lock off, I can go ahead and call it demo to tag it if I want. I could click next, and this will go ahead and create that validation for us. We get the nice big green checkbox. Hey guys, you know, we're all ready to go. Click create, and this will go ahead and create that NSG for us. Once we've created that NSG, we're going to go ahead and quickly create a VM, and we're going to throw a VM in our security group. And as you can see, deployment is in progress. This shouldn't take too long. And the reason we want to create a VM is because I want to show you how to attach a resource to a security group. I mean, if I went into my security group, for example, so go to resources, we've got really nothing in here. Nothing's been associated with it. Nothing's been attached with it. And as you can see, we've got different rules and stuff, very much like your firewall rules. So we want to go ahead and let's go and create a virtual machine. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a VM. So I'll click create virtual machine. And of course, I will go ahead and I'm going to pop it in that resource group, and I'll just call this, I don't know, I'll call it let's call it NSG FS01. That's the name of my server, just so I don't get confused. You can call it whatever you want. I'm going to go ahead and give it a username. So I'll just call it a admin. I'll type in my password. Type my password again. Oh. Cool. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say, I don't want that port open. So let's turn that port off because I want us to go and turn that port on. The reason I want us to do that is so that we can learn how to do this in our NSG group. We go next on disks. I'm going to select a drop down. I'm just going to select dev test. Because it's cheaper storage at the end of the day. I'm going to go to networking. Now, when we get down to networking, if you're not careful, it's going to go ahead and create its own security group. So we're going to say advanced. There's our security group. You've got to click advanced. Don't say none because then it's going to give us one, or basic. It's going to assign you the one that the VM creates by default. So you want to click advanced. And if I click the drop down menu, there's my resource group. Can you see that's the one that server creates? But I'm saying to the server, I want to create it in the Auckland lab. I don't want the default one. That's the one I want. So obviously we can go ahead and select that. We're not worried about load balancing because load balancing will come into play if you have 2 or more virtual machines running. Again, the whole idea is to get you familiar with how to create a lab. And then we'll go next. And of course, we'll disable boot diagnostics because we don't need that. And of course, you can see there, we can automate the shutdown of our VMs if we want by clicking that. So we're not going to worry about that for now. We just want to get up and running. I'll go next again. We could add some scripts here if you wanted to. And we're going to go next. We could add a tag in here if I wanted to. I'm not worried about tagging for now. And I'm going to click review. And this is going to go away and do a validation. Once that validation is done, we will then go into our security group and we'll do some stuff in it. We'll see if we can connect to that VM. So of course you can come down here and you can see everything that's passed. You can see what your settings were, what you chose. And this is what we want to look at. We can see we're part of that security group, that Auckland NSG group. So I'd click create. And this will go away and create that for us. So once we've created our virtual machine, we then need to associate it with our security group. And that doesn't take too long to do. So we'll just let our VM go away and do its thing. Of course, you can always check your progress by clicking the little bell icon here. And this will tell you what's happening with your virtual machine or your deployment. So security groups are a nice way of really securing your traffic. By default, when you create a virtual machine, it sort of creates its own little NSG. But like I said, we want to create a custom NSG and throw our VM in there and learn how to work with our VM. So we just kind of wait for that to fire up. And then once that's fired up, we can then go into our security group. We can allow RDP on port 3389. We can go ahead and associate our network and subnet with that security group. And then of course, we can then connect to that security group. So again, we'll just wait for that to finish creating. And once it's created, we will go and associate our subnet with that group.
That was pretty easy to create, pretty easy.
Oh, absolutely. If someone explains to you, it's like anything, Kevin, and anything, people. If someone takes the time and explains to you, then it's not so hard. And again, if I went into resource here, this is the resource of my server. I don't want to go into here. I actually want to go to my security group. So I could come down here and go to network security groups. And there's my security group. And if I come down to my network interfaces, you can see I've got a network interface here. And you could go ahead and if I come back into here, and you could go ahead and click associate. And of course, you could associate your network interface. The reason, I mean, my Azure have done a really good thing. It's associated with it automatically. And as you can see, if it hasn't associated with it, you have to click associate. Then this would turn green. and then it's associated with that. If I went into my subnets as well, I need to associate that subnet. So I'd come down and say, that's my VNet. And of course, I'd come down here and I could accept the default group and click OK. So now what it's going to do, it's going to quickly associate my subnet with that, because we need to have those associations take place. If I come into here, you notice I'm in my security group. I've got my inbound rules and I've got my outbound rules. And let's give us some more real estate. And as you can see, we don't have any RDP associated with our Auckland network security group. So again, if I close this down and like I said, come into security groups, let's just move this over. You can see here, I'll just drag this down. We've got rules that we can go ahead and apply. So the first thing I'd want to do is, let's see if we can connect to that VM. So we would come to our VM and I'd come into my VM over here. And of course, as usual, guys, we would download the RDP client. And I would just go ahead and see where that RDP file is. And if I said, open that RDP file, and I drag it across here and I said, connect, and I bring it across here. It's sitting and spinning and thinking about it. And the reason we're not connecting, can anybody tell me why? Why can't we connect? Why am I getting this error?
Because you changed the settings to disable RDP, so you have to actually set it up.
Correct. So we're not going anywhere because we've got no RDP setting. So again, we have to go back into my network security groups. And we need to add a rule. So I could come in here and we could say, let's go ahead and add an inbound rule. Now, of course, we could come down here. We select any, we could do, if we said custom, if you notice, if you come down here, you can add custom rules. And this is just showing you where to add HTTPS or whatever rules you wanted. So I'm going to select, I'll just call this one RDP. And then we'll say 33 RDP port ranger, sorry, it's 3389. And we'll keep it on any port. We'll keep this priority 1, and then I would change this one to 3389. And I could call this.
I was going to say, like, this is where you got to know your basics. If you don't know what 3389 is, you're in trouble. You got to know your basic port numbers.
Correct. I mean, if you wanted to, you could say RDP underscore, so you know what it is. So we can go ahead and we say, right, we're going to add that rule. Now, if I click add, you'll notice now that rule is active. Now, if you see here at the bottom, we've got these numbers. I mean, on this priority, we've got 100, 65, 100, and it goes up. The lowest number or priority will take precedence first. Then it will start moving up the food chain. So if I had port 80 on open up or port 443 open up, and it was on rule 90, that would take precedence first, then this next rule would come on. So we could come into here and say, well, let's go and add a rule there as well if you wanted to. So we'll do this one more time. So you've got some resources there, so you know how to do this. So again, we'll go and click add. We would select any, we'd change that to 3389. We'd accept the defaults. See, now this is giving us another rule priority. We can keep it at that as well. And if you wanted to, we could say 3389. And of course, you could type in something in there. You could, let's call this RDP. So we know what it is. And we could click add. And this would allow our rules to take place. So I can go ahead and close that down. I come back into here again, go to my inbound rules. I go to my outbound rules. I can see I've got stuff. If I come into my overview, you can see in the overview section, we've got rules that allow us to connect. So if I just grab my, go into my downloads folders, give me a second, guys, and I'll grab that. I don't need to download that RDP client because I've downloaded it already. So I'll just drag that over there and save.
You might have to drag it over here.
Yeah, cool. I'm just going to drag it over here and I'm going to connect. And now look at that. I'm getting a credential. So we say AZ admin. Oh, I can type in that capsule.
Telling you, man, I'm getting you a new keyboard, man.
No, it's my spelling. That's me. And I'll type in my password. And I click OK. And it's, look at that, guys. We're connecting. Houston, we have liftoff. And that's because it's just opening up another window here. I'll just drag it across. And there we go, guys. We've created our first security group and we've connected to it. And how do you know we've created it? Because we couldn't RDP to it. And we went and we allowed traffic through that port. So think of a security group sort of like as a mini firewall, if you want to call it. It's not a real firewall. Obviously, you want to use an Azure firewall, but you can see how security groups work. And there we go. We are connected to our VM and we can see that it is, because you can see it says NSG FS01. There's my public IP and there's the port 3389. So we are done. That's how you create a security group. It's not hard. And again, normally people say, oh, you know, you've got to create a security group, and then you've got to go into the inbound ports and open these rules and the outbound ports and open these rules. And for a person that's not used to doing that, you can go, oh my word, that's going to be hard work. So I'm going to minimize that because we've connected. And again, you can come down into your rules over here. It would be nice if Microsoft allowed us to.
I was going to ask you, why is there an exclamation point on that RDP? You know, the CL has a little.
That's because if you hover that over, that is because we've created that rule. And it's also telling us we can lock it down further using JIT as well, or just-in-time access. So that's giving you a little thing. If I clicked on that, it's just because we created that custom rule. And of course, it's telling us that RDP is exposed to the internet.
Yeah, I like to ask that question because it looks weird. Like I attention to detail, right? I'm like, why does it look like that? I'm just like wondering.
Yeah, and it says this is recommended for testing. You can do it in production environments. They're saying, well, if you're in a production environment, you want to actually use a private VPN, or you want to use just-in-time access. Now, if you enable just-in-time access, which is what we'll cover in another lab, because that's quite a long lab to do. When we enable JIT, you'll see a lot of these warning signs will go away. Is this going to stop you from working? Absolutely not. I mean, Microsoft are just saying it's exposed. They prefer you use VPN to connect. But this is just a warning. It's not a major where you need to run and jump off a cliff. It's quite fine. It is pretty secure, but they are saying, you know, you want to lock it down as well. Again, that depends on you. If you don't have a VPN and you want to connect, this is a nice way of connecting because everything's part of that security group. And you could add another VM and add it into that security group. So you have one security group for this customer or this department. Like sales would have their own security group, and IT would have their own security group, and users, just general users, would have their own security group. So that's basically,
I was going to say that's a smart way to do it. You know, you separate our organization instead of having just one group for everyone. That doesn't make any sense.
No, absolutely. And of course, as you can see now, we can monitor our logs, and we could create an NSG flow log to manage that network security group. We could browse our log as well, so that we can see what's going on. We can go into the properties and see what resource group it is, what subscription we have. And we can go to our network interfaces. We can see what network interface is tied to what. And of course, we can see a whole lot of information available to us as you start working with that. Again, you can go to your IP configurations. If it was a server, you could click on that and you could go ahead and assign it a static IP. If it was a server, obviously, if it's a server, you want a static IP, but you'll pay for that. This is a dynamic IP, so it'll change. So there are a lot of cool things you can do if we go into our subnets as well. If we select our default subnet, you can come down here and you can disassociate that subnet or reassociate it again at the end of the day. So the whole idea for today is to get you familiar with the NSG. If you notice, we've got this little tab here saying effective security rules. And your effective security rules is where you can come down here. We could select our server. We could select our interface. And this is going away and it's going to kind of load some information for us. And we can go ahead and again, see what our inbound rules are, see what network security group has been associated with it. So there's a lot of cool things that you can do. Like I say, my network is pretty slow today in New Zealand. We've had a lot of rain. We've had high winds. We've had some people without electricity. So it's just been quite a wet weekend and a windy weekend.
All right.
So again, like I said, my network is a little bit sporadic. But again, if you do that, you would see stuff would populate in there. Again, you can come to alerts and we could create a new alert on that lab. And of course, you can go ahead and add a condition. We could select, an activity log. We could see what log we wanted to monitor. And of course, we could go through and do a whole lot of pieces. But again, I want to leave this all for another time because I don't want to do everything tonight or this afternoon. My main goal is to get you familiar with creating a network security group and navigating the security group. Again, one of the important things we can do is we can go to security group and we can go ahead and add a lock. And of course, we could call this, I don't know, do not delete. And we could come down here and if I say do not delete and I say delete, is that going to allow me to delete the security group? What do you think, guys? Let's go and have a test. So if I click do not delete and I went into my security group, let's close that down because we've applied that lock there. And I went into, like you say, you go to your security group. Let's go ahead and delete that. And let's see what's going to happen. We should get a nice little warning telling us that we can't delete that group. So come on. There we go. It can't be deleted because we've also got that lock in place. So locks help us to protect our resources from accidental deletion because sometimes people will delete stuff. If you want to edit that lock, you could come in here and you could say, well, let's make it a read-only lock, and then you could just type read, and you could click OK, and you could change that lock to read-only. So they can't make any changes to that security group. They can't add anything. They can just read it. And then, of course, a good example would be, let's go into security group and let's try and make a change. So I'll come back into here and I'll go to say rules. Let's go and add a rule. Let's see if it's going to allow us, and we'll just keep it at that. Let's choose, in fact, let's choose a custom rule. Let's choose HTTPS. If you notice, it chose an HTTPS for us. It's selected the port automatically. Obviously, you'd want to change this so you know what this is, 443. We click add. And of course, if we did a refresh, we would see what was going on. And there's no rule. Can you see that? Nothing is there. So having those locks in place does allow us to prevent accidental deletion and prevent accidental changes that people can do if they're not familiar with it. So the only way to do that is to delete that lock from there. I can delete it because I have permission because I created the lock. But if you logged into there, you wouldn't be able to delete that. You'd have to get hold of your admins to do that. One of the nice things as well, we can go ahead and tag stuff. As you can see, we've tagged it. It tells us here that it's NSG Lab demo, and we can see exactly what's going on. And of course, we can again show resources within that tag. And tagging is something I'll cover down the line as well with you. So again, creating a security group, you could even go further as well, and you could use IAM, where you could go ahead and add roles and assignments to that resource or add users. As you can see, I've added myself into a whole range of groups just to generate some information so that you can see how to do that. I would go ahead and click add, for example, if I wanted to add. This is really cool. I would go add role assignment preview, and I can choose what I want to happen on that security group. You know, what do I want to do? Do I want to give that individual read and monitor all data? Do I want to give him log analytics so that he can monitor stuff? So I might say I want to do log analytics. I'll click OK. I'll go ahead and I'll select my member. I'll select Ryan, select him, and click next and review and assign. Now Ryan's being assigned that membership to view analytics and see what's going on within that security group. So it's really powerful, guys, at the end of the day when you're working with it. But again, like everything else, it's just a matter of you taking your time and having a look at what's going on. And if you notice, I clicked on logs and it's brought up this as well. And we can go ahead and we can search flow. We could run flow logs. We could do IP version 4 logs if we need to do auditing. If I need to do diagnostics on that or preview some data or do some more security, I can go ahead. If I had, went ahead and ran that, this would generate some information. But if you notice now, I can't really do anything because of those read-only permissions that have been assigned. I actually have to go and assign contributor permissions to allow me to do anything, because this says I can read it. I can't do any changes. And yeah, there's not much we can do there, so we can say that's fine. But it's just showing you how powerful this can be at the end of the day when you're working within creating a security group. So it's not that hard to do, guys. It's pretty easy. We could export that template if I wanted to. And that's my template, or let's get some more real estate going here. And this is the JSON template, in case you guys don't know what this is. This is JSON. It's giving me version 1 of the template. It's telling me it's the Auckland NSG Lab. It's part of the network security groups. It gives me an API version for you guys that want to do API stuff. It's telling me where's the east. It's in the east location because it's CJ Network Security Groups Lab location. It's in the east. We've tagged it and we've called that tag demo so we know what it is. We've opened up those ports, port 3389. We've given the port a description and we've given it a port range. We've given it a priority of 100 and it's our inbound port that we've opened up. And of course, if we come down here, we can see that we called it port 3389. In the description, we gave it 3389. That description was where we typed in stuff for our ports, and I'll show you where that is. And of course, we said, let's allow access. And again, of course, that's on the outbound port as well. So it gives us a lot of information, and your developers would love this. I could go ahead and download this template. And if I said open, I could have a look, and I'll just drag this over and you can see it's giving me some bits and pieces. And if I open it up in Notepad, there it is. It's the same thing. So we can go ahead and make changes and customize this and import this back in again. So we've got this ARM template. But again, guys, it's giving us some foundations for the next session or for the next rule as you go through. We've also got this parameters as well, which allows us to go ahead and create some stuff too.
That is so cool, man.
It's, again, it's just giving you that basic knowledge of what is a security group. If someone says to you, what is a security group? At least you can say, well, hey, it's to protect our resources. We've got our rules. If I went into my RDP rule, you see it tells us there it was Part8 100. If you looked at the JSON file, it said RDP port 339, and that's where it got our description from. So again, understanding how everything ties in and what each little section does. If you have an understanding, it's really great. So it is powerful, and it's something that I think guys should be aware of. And again, there's a lot more we can do with it, but the whole idea with this lab is just to get you up and running with creating a security group. And that's it. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. There's nothing else there. And you can have as many security groups as you want. If I close this down and I clicked manage and view, I could go ahead and edit some columns here, which I want to show you, which are pretty cool. We could go ahead and edit columns by moving them up or down and changing the way you work. I could go ahead and add a column if I wanted to. You could delete columns. So having an understanding of how to work with your stuff is really cool. So again, I could export stuff to a CSV file. I could, a lot of stuff that you can do. So that's it. I hope that gives you a better understanding of how a security group works. You go ahead and you could pin that to your dashboard, or you could go ahead and click edit tags, and you could go ahead and change that tag name if you wanted to. And there's that tag there, and you could go ahead and change it to what you want. You can see you could select the tag there, and you could just type in there, for example, NSG, and you could click save. And of course, that would now save it, that tag again as what we called it. And if I came back into here and I said, let's edit the tags again, we'll wait for it to open up when it decides to open up. And there you go, it's changed that tag, NSG demo. So that's one way of checking if your tag has been changed completely. So that's how you create a security group. Again, at the end of the day, like all good people work, because we're doing this live, we don't want to incur a cost. The easiest thing to do is to go to your resource group. Now, if we go to our resource group, you can see here, we've got our NSG security group in here, and we've got all of our interfaces and our labs. Again, you could lock stuff right down from here, or you could come over to here. And again, if I click on there, that's going to take me straight into that security group, and I go straight here and allow access to different things. If I didn't want RDP anymore, you could come down and say deny, and you could go ahead and that would deny that rule. And I could click OK, or click save. Sorry, let's just deny that rule, and that will go ahead and update that rule. Some of the rules can take a little bit of time to update. What I mean a little bit of time, a couple of minutes or two. And as you can see, we've got the deny rule here. And let's go over here and let's do the same thing. Let's save that rule. Let's deny that rule. And then we'll go and let's see if RDP is going to work. And I should get that same error with my RDP saying that I can't connect. So I'm going to fire up my connection here. So connect. And I'm going to come into here and I've got my password. So if I go ahead and type in my password, it's denied. So you can't connect because
I try it again. Then you have the caps log on. That's why it didn't work. Try it one more time.
Oh, let me just drag it open. I'll type my password in again. Let's see, it should. Maybe it needs to update, so we'll kind of see. Let's update the rule, just do a refresh. And we'll come back into my resources. let's go back into my virtual machines. And let's click on that virtual machine because I accidentally deleted that RDP client. So RDP, and let's download that RDP file. Remember, it says here to improve security. Remember, you were talking about Kevin getting that orange triangle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See there? If we enable just-in-time access, that would resolve that. So let's drag this over here. Let's say connect, and now it's thinking about it.
Oh, there we go. Now it's not working again.
Now it's not working because it's given a bit of time to kick in. And that should sit there and spin and spit out an error saying, yep, there we go. There's the error. We cannot connect. So it gives us our error in terms of why we cannot connect. And that's just another VM I've got to open up, guys. But yeah, connecting with your security groups is really important on knowing how to create that security group. If you went back into your network security group, again, if you're thinking, well, where do I go? I was just up here. The easiest way, guys, is just to go to resource groups, click on the lab, and then go to the security group straight from within there. If you don't want to type it up there, again, you could open up that port by coming back down and saying allow and click save, and that will go ahead and update that port. And you can do that with the other ports as well. You can go through them and allow and deny. But remember, your priority, the lower the priority is, that's what takes precedence first, not the highest priority. And I'll go ahead and click save. And that will go ahead and save that. And of course, if you notice on our rules, once this is finished saving, I'll show you something over here quickly before we wrap up. As you can see, I've only had a port 3389, where here, this is allowing any port. And if you notice, if I click on here, I can't change anything because these are the default ports that are in Azure. You can't edit them. You've got to create your rules. So as you can see here, because this is in blue, it's got an underline. Because I created it, I can change it. I can't change these rules. So it's just something to be aware of at the end of the day. And again, when you're in your overview tab, it'll tell you here how many rules you have inbound and outbound. And you could, again, copy those, how many subnets have been associated. So read what's at the top here. In some cases, this might say you might have 10 custom rules, 10 inbound and 2 outbound rules. So this could really change depending on you at the end of the day. So I'm going to go back to my resource group. I'm going to select my resource group, and I'm going to go ahead and change stuff. We've got this nice little resource visualizer here. So if I fire up that resource visualizer, this is a really nice tool. How cool is this? Let's give it some real estate. This now visualizes my virtual machine. So if you have a look here, it's got a nice lab. It tells me here in this diagram, it's got my virtual machine, my network card, it's associated with the public rule. I've got my subnet, and there's my security group.
That is so cool.
So,
so
that's really cool. So if I had a complex lab, I could go ahead, and of course you could say zoom to fit. If you wanted to zoom to fit, that would fit it there. Of course, you could zoom in a bit to give you guys a zoom in or out, however you
reminds me of Cisco Packet Tracer,
yeah,
a little bit.
So yeah, like I say, at the end of the day, you can just bring that up, and of course you can also modify it a bit. You can drag it and say, this is what I want. I want it to be like this. So you can say, right, there's my security group. And of course, you could just go in, and just to make it a bit bigger for you guys, let's get rid of that. And of course, you could drag stuff over, and if you wanted to, so that you could just trying to make it a bit bigger, so at least you guys can see how it works. So this visualizer is a really nice tool to have. And it gives you visibility straight away over how everything works. So I know it's not part of the lab, but I thought it's a cool tool, something to show you guys, separate you. And you could screenshot this and send this to someone and they'll say, well, how the hell did you create that? And you can say, well, everything's all tied into our network card. So, you can modify it and tidy it up as however nice you want to tidy it up with. So I thought I'd just share that with you. I thought that's a really cool tool. So again, like I say, at the end of the day, we've decided we want to get rid of, if you're wondering where I got that tool, go into the resource group and resource visualizer. That's where you find it. And that would visualize everything associated with your environment. So all I did was click on that. That would go away and reorder it back to how it was. And there you go. And of course, you can actually see how everything works. So it's as simple as that. You could reset that diagram, zoom to fit. You could choose other resources as well. And as you can see there, it's selected all those resources and we've clicked apply. And there, and that's picked up our virtual machine. If I hover it over, you can see I've got information about my virtual machine and the same about my network interface where it's all located. The same with my public IP address, and the same with my subnet as well. And of course, the same with my security group. And we can see what rules are inbound and outbound. So it's a live interactive chart that can really help you understand what it is. So it's not just pretty pictures. If you put your mouse over that and just wait a second, and you could go ahead and click view, and this will take you straight to my security group. So it's pretty cool. It's a powerful tool. So I hope you guys have had fun. I know it hasn't been a long lab. It's been a really short lab. Again, guys, like everything else, what you want to do before we close up is we don't want to pay for resources. So copy that, click delete. Let's go ahead and delete everything in that resource group. And we'll go ahead and click delete. And that'll go away now and clean up our resource groups and delete it. And then we're not paying for anything anymore. So I hope you guys have had fun and you've learned something. Again, I know it's not a high-end security video, but it's designed to get you familiar with creating your very first network security group, creating your very first inbound and outbound rules, using network virtualizer to resource virtualizer, sorry, to virtualize your resource and how it works and what other features are available when you create your network security group. So that's it. Any questions? You're all good?
Someone said, can you select individuals and edit it?
Yes, you can. When you mean individuals and edited, what are you talking about?
Probably talking about like different resource groups and different tabs. I'm pretty sure we just did all
yes.
that.
Yes. We just did all that. So yes, you can. You can
edit it. Yep.
Yeah, you can do all of that.
That was fun. I didn't even know you could do that. You have like a diagram.
Yes.
That was pretty cool.
No, so that's really awesome. So like I say, at the end of the day, it's just a matter of playing around it. And if you spend half an hour a day in Azure, by the end of the year, you'll be an expert, a pretty good expert, I would say. And that's what it is. It's just spend a little bit of time studying. You reap what you sow. If you put a bit of effort into anything you do, you'll be good to go. So that's absolutely awesome.
Justin said, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, you're welcome, my good man. I'm so glad that you guys will be able to be part of it today. So yes.
And before we wrap up, there's no questions today. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to say again, congratulations, Ryan, for being MVP for Microsoft. Good job, man.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you. So congratulations for being MVP of Microsoft. It's not easy doing that, and it's not easy. And we were talking about it. I know we were talking about it. It's not easy doing that, and you well deserved for you, man. Good job. kudos to you for doing it, because that's not easy. So
No.
when I saw that on LinkedIn and I saw that from Microsoft and they gave you the MVP award, I was like, what is going on? Am I dreaming? Like,
Yeah.
it was so good.
I was so happy. I cannot tell you, because I was like, wow, I knew, like I said, I'd been nominated. I knew I stood a chance, but I also realized I was up against really other skilled people. So, they're all highly skilled. So you think, wow, it's going to be a tight race. And anyway, if I don't win it, that's okay. I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. And there's always next year,
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the attitude I went in with. So I'm just so thankful to Microsoft. And if anybody at Microsoft sees this video, thank you, Microsoft. Thank you. I really do appreciate it and feel very honored to have this award as well. So in case someone Microsoft watches the video.
Yeah, well, you never know. So
yeah, you never know. So I want to say thank you.
that's the thing is when you're extremely humble and you don't expect it, it happens.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So with that being said, anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Thank you, Ryan, for stopping by today. Ryan, we have our own thing going on. We have to train people. So
yes,
I'll be here same time next weekend, same time, different training, different stuff. I don't know if Ryan wants to say any final words before we.
No, thank you again, everyone, for sticking with us. Thank you for taking the time to tune in. I know it's Saturday, your time, and I know you guys have got better things to do on Saturday than sit in front of a computer and watch a video. So I appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. And again, it's enhancing your values and your skills. Again, thank you so much for your support. You're all awesome. Thank you.
It was funny. It was funny because I was sick and then Ryan was sick. I got Ryan sick with Zoom. I got him sick within Zoom.
Yeah. I got a virus.
Oh my God. All right. Goodness. You guys have a good one. All right.
Have a good one. Thank you guys. Cheers.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye. Take care.